Welcome to the audio of the non-religious spirituality book, Happy Soul, Hungry Mind, a modern-day parable about practical spirituality. Chapter 9. Spirituality does not discriminate. Travis probed deeper.
So to pursue spirituality, do we have to move to a monastery?
Rishi shook his head.
No, that's like saying you can read only if you go to the library. A library is highly conducive because everybody is reading. But it isn't a necessity. Some people go to the library, yet they don't read because they spend all their time on their phone. You can read just as fine at home if you focus. You can achieve spiritual awakening in your own home.
Travis eyed Rishi.
So we don't need to become monks.
Listen, monks do have a leg up. But your soul and a monk's soul is the same energy. You can, living your daily life, achieve spirituality just as well.
Travis pointed to himself.
Ordinary people can do it?
Yes. Spirituality is not an exclusive club.
Rishi stretched his hands out.
Spirituality is available to every person on earth without any preconditions. An emperor and a cobbler, a president and a soldier, a super intelligent and a less intelligent person. Everyone, regardless of their life's condition, has the same spiritual ability. People who have a comfortable living with all the amenities of life can experience spirituality without sacrificing those comforts.
I like that.
Me too.
Rishi gestured gently with his hand. With a mischievous grin, he added,
A broker on Wall Street and a lawyer on Main Street, even they can achieve spirituality.
Oh, wait a minute. Not them too.
Yeah, them too. And further, people who are religious and atheist both can achieve spirituality.
Travis squirmed. Rishi did a wave with his hand.
The ability to swim has been there in us since we were born. No one can impart it to us or take it away from us.
Rishi's eyes shone with a mesmerizing quality.
Similarly, no one can impart or take away our spiritual ability.
Really? How can atheists be spiritual? How would they have spiritual capability?
That's the amazing beauty of spirituality.
I don't understand. What's the beauty?
Spirituality does not discriminate. It cannot.
A declaration that will reverberate through the annals of time. Taken aback by the declaration and Rishi's steely confidence in making the declaration, Travis repeated it, letting it digest and probing it at the same time.
So spirituality does not discriminate.
Travis brushed his hair aside.
Boy, this is a big one, Rishi. I know people say they're spiritual and not religious, but I've always seen it intertwined. I've got to get used to the idea that atheists too have spiritual ability.
Rishi smiled.
Listen, spirituality is not a club exclusive to followers of one religion. It's available to all, including someone living in the Amazon rainforest who has never come across organized religion and the modern world. Spirituality is there in him as much as it is in you and me.
Wow, I need time to digest this. Actually, you know what? There are days when I'm a borderline atheist, and I still believe I can be spiritual. So maybe it doesn't matter whether you're an atheist or religious.
Travis scanned the floor.
Then is it our temptations and vices that decide if we can be spiritual?
Rishi grimaced.
Temptations and vices are judgmental words, influenced by society's norms. When I was in India, premarital sex was a no-no, especially for girls. An unimaginable sin. When I came to the US, premarital sex didn't seem to carry the same level of stigma. Well, at least in the TV shows.
Travis smiled coyly.
Polygamous relationships are unacceptable in the US, but they're okay in the Middle East. In the past, US society was uncomfortable with homosexuality, and many described it as sinful and an act against nature. But now, views are changing.
You know, even Pope Francis said, "Who am I to judge gays?"
Rishi pressed his thumb.
Every society chooses its values and evolves them over time. The definition of vices is influenced by societal norms and acceptable practices. Society expects you to follow its values, otherwise, it can make your life really uncomfortable.
I think I see where you're going with this.
Do you? These norms and traditions, these temptations and vices have little to do with spirituality. Whether you had premarital sex, how many wives or husbands you have had, whether you are hetero, homo or bisexual, asexual or hyposexual, may or may not be acceptable based on your society's values. But all of that does not affect whether you are eligible to experience the infinite happiness.
Travis widened his eyes.
Are you sure it doesn't?
Yes, it doesn't. Your body is male, female, or transgender. Your mind is hetero or homosexual. But your soul doesn't have a sexual designation. Infinite happiness has to do with your soul, not with your mind or body. Your mind and body can't ever taint your soul. Your soul is pure. It can only be pure.
Travis smiled.
I like the part about the soul being pure.
Travis analyzed further.
Okay, vices are defined by society, but I bet people have to be good to be spiritual. Bad people can't.
Like a coach helping a student with a math problem, Rishi intervened.
You could be a person with good or bad deeds. You could have shortcomings, doubts, and false beliefs. None of it makes a difference. Spirituality does not care. Just because you harm someone, your soul does not leave you.
Rishi opened and closed his fist.
It still functions in you.
Whoa, that's dangerous.
Travis almost jumped up.
Don't have to be a good, decent human being? You gotta be kidding me. Don't believe that for a second, buddy.
Anticipating a pushback, Rishi watched Travis's spirited pushback with amusement. He let Travis continue.
Every religion says you must be a good person to be in communion with God. They're wrong? Is morality not important? Might as well sell me some snake oil.
Snake oil my foot.
Rishi was fighting like a champion boxer defending his title. He and Travis had a long history of pushing each other when they worked together. Travis laughed, seeing Rishi in his characteristic feisty form. It brought back memories.
Rishi, surely we need to be nice to become spiritual. But what you're saying is we don't have to be good.
Rishi shook his head.
No. That's not what I'm saying at all. See how things get misinterpreted?
Travis folded his arms.
But that's exactly what you just said.
No, that's not what I said.
Rishi wagged his forefinger with a little urgency.
If you harm someone, you'll definitely pay a price for it. There is no escape for it. That is a law of the universe and a law of society. You must and will pay for your deeds.
Okay, very good. I agree with that.
Travis gave a firm nod.
Wait, but I'm not done. There are two dimensions, the material and the spiritual world. They are both parallel dimensions of this universe. What you do in the material world stays in the material world. The spiritual world can never be touched or tainted by the material world.
Yep, What you do in Las Vegas stays in Las Vegas.
Your deeds are committed in the material world, and the rewards and punishments will be administered in this world. If you get a speeding ticket in California, Texas won't prosecute you. California will.
So there is no hell and heaven?
There is absolutely a hell and heaven, but it's here in the material world on earth. Have you seen the excruciating pain and the exhilarating pleasures that exist on earth? What we sow, we reap here. It's all in this dimension.
Travis looked away, doing his best to concur, but still wrestling with the idea.
Listen, the soul is pure energy. It's independent of your deeds. Your TV displays both a serene lake and a violent volcano, but neither affect the TV. The TV doesn't become wet or hot. Similarly, your soul is unaffected by your deeds.
Soul is independent of our deeds, our sins. Really?
Rishi lifted his finger slightly.
Yes, even a murderer could make spiritual progress. He decided that's what he wants and worked hard on it.
Rishi was doubling down on the point and pushing into an even more controversial space.
Wait, what?
Travis ruffled his hair.
It's true.
Rishi raised his palm, unrelenting and unswayed by Travis's outburst.
Not gonna convince me of that, buddy.
I know. I realize that. But before you get all riled up, breathe a little and be a little open-minded.
I'm open. I bought your two parallel dimensions. I could follow that. But a killer? That's way off. You better rethink this.
Okay.
Rishi recognized he was presenting a difficult point.
Deeds and actions, your character, your behavior, and conduct are all connected to what?
Travis shrugged.
I don't know.
Think, it's easy and you know the answer.
The mind?
Exactly. So we don't have a pious person or a killer person. We have a pious mind or a killer mind. A saint's mind is pure and kind. A murderer's mind is troubled and angry.
Yeah, so?
A killer's mind will be troubled and agitated. It will have great difficulty in becoming peaceful. If you're mean to others, your mind will struggle to calm down. Bad deeds, jealousy, greed, fear, anger, and addiction to sensory pleasures agitate your mind at the conscious and the subconscious level. A pious mind, which does good deeds, is helpful and kind, is certainly more able to quiet itself and migrate towards the path of spirituality. Good deeds make your mind peaceful.
Okay. See, now you're making sense.
Rishi smiled.
Yes, but it's not guaranteed. Even a pious person has to work hard to quiet their mind. Many priests have doubts about their faiths, but they never raise them because they're afraid how society may perceive them. Such fear becomes their nemesis. They have sexual and other worldly desires, which they suppress because they're afraid of losing their religious denomination. You can spend all your life serving a religious order, but if you live with fear, doubt, and denial, you will stunt your spiritual progress. If their mind is agitated, if they don't calm their mind, they will never make spiritual progress.
Travis digested silently, letting Rishi make his case.
On the flip side, murderers are least likely to seek spirituality. But if they stop living in the past, change their personality, and completely quiet their minds, they will experience their soul. It's unlikely, but it is absolutely possible.
Travis shook his head, not buying it. He moved the pillows away to give himself some extra room, almost as if he was readying himself to spring up.
The murderer example, is that realistic or just for over-dramatization?
Me over-dramatize?
Travis did not smile at Rishi's attempt to joke. Travis's breathing became faster.
You're saying we can become killers and still find peace?
No. That's the opposite interpretation. Let me try again, Travis. There are so many historical stories of bad people who turned their lives around and walked the path of righteousness. You will hear about killers who made a genuine transformation in their lives. They're still executed for their crimes. The law doesn't let them go free, but they achieve peace while in prison, waiting for their death sentence to be executed.
Travis looked down at the rug.
Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future.
I'm sorry, what?
Travis looked up.
Haven't you heard that quote?
No, I haven't.
It means sinners can redeem themselves, and no saint started as a perfect human being.
I like that quote, Travis. Thank you for sharing that. No saint is done until they experience their soul. Spirituality is our final evolution step.
I should change that quote.
Travis waved his hand.
Saints and sinners both have a future.
That's nice.
Rishi was happy Travis was seeing the point. Travis had not made the turn, though. He puffed at his hair.
Killers becoming fully spiritual, how can it be allowed in this universe of yours?
Travis jabbed a finger toward Rishi.
Water does not discriminate.
Rishi spoke as a grandfather would with his grandson.
Whether it's a saint or a killer, water will work to keep both of them afloat.
Travis smiled a little at Rishi's analogy.
The law of its own nature binds water. It must float all objects that lie in water. If a saint and a killer lie still in the water, they will float alike. If they know swimming, they'll be able to swim equally well. Their deeds have no consequence to water.
True.
Rishi paused to process the thought.
And I'm talking about the physical world, not the miracle world where mythological figures walk on water and break the laws of physics. This is not a faith-based discussion, Travis. This is a can I convince myself of the logic discussion. You with me?
Yep, okay. Water is impartial and bound by its law.
Like water, our soul is also governed by the laws of the universe and its own nature. Let me share another example.
Please.
Travis smiled slightly.
Think of a steel foundry. Sometimes you melt pure iron rods in perfect condition to make steel. At other times, you have corroded iron rods, scrappy and flaky. But it makes no difference to the foundry. It will melt both rods the same.
Okay.
The real magic is in the alloying elements that turn iron into steel. Once iron turns into steel, it can never rust again. Water can do no harm to it.
Travis nodded.
What was before does not matter. It could be virgin iron ore, a manufactured brand new iron rod, or a rusted piece of iron. All of it is transformed to steel.
Travis smiled.
Spirituality is the alloying element in our lives?
Yes.
Rishi had a serious look.
Whether we are pure as monks or corroded as killers, once we are melted and spirituality is mixed in, we all become like steel. Not only will the past be meaningless, in the future, the material world won't be able to corrode us. We'll be able to mingle in the world, enjoy it, serve it selflessly, live out our lives, and yet we will be unaffected by it. We'll be as strong as steel and blissful forever.
So that's our purpose in life? To become spiritual steel?
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Spiritual steel.
Rishi felt encouraged.
Take a lighted bulb, which is covered with a thick piece of cloth. When you uncover the bulb, the light will shine through because it has no choice. Whether the bulb was covered with a rich, beautiful cloth or an ugly cloth, once you remove it, the light will emerge.
The light's always there. Once the cloth is removed, it must come out.
Yes, the light is bound by its nature. It cannot say, an ugly rag was covering me, so I won't shine through. Isn't that a cool example?
Rishi leaned back as if he had made his case. He was satisfied.
Yep, I get it. Whether you're a killer or a saint, if you quiet your mind, your soul will become visible.
Yes, the soul will shine through. It has no choice. It must shine through naturally and automatically.
Rishi was sharing the grandest of all spiritual knowledge.
That's actually quite powerful.
Travis's eyes lit up. He pushed his head ever so slightly toward Rishi. Rishi was still dwelling in the satisfaction of having made a difficult point. He closed his eyes and recited,
Quiet your hungry mind, and your happy soul will shine.
I understand your mantra now. It's making sense.
Rishi smiled.
Very good, Travis. Thank you. Very good. As we discuss more, you will appreciate it even more. Let's talk about deeds. Can you tell me if there is a way for a high school student to escape his failing grade?
No? How?
By not going to school anymore.
Against the law, at least in Texas. My mother always reminded me, if I skipped school, I'd have to explain it to a judge.
That is true. But that is true as long as you live in Texas, the law will apply.
Where are you going with this?
Well, if you move to a remote island, say named Paradise Island, all right, somewhere in the Indian Ocean, then the Texas law won't apply there.
Rishi waved his hand with a flare.
You can be in bliss on Paradise Island. Since there are no schools, your Texas school grade and detention record won't matter.
How does that...
Let me explain. This material world is like your school. As long as you're in school, the grades matter. But if you leave the material world and enter the blissful spiritual world, your deeds and so-called sins from the material world do not apply.
Well...
Now, if you come back to Texas, you'll be required to re-enlist in school and they will have your past records. But if you stay on Paradise Island, you're unaffected by your school record.
Paradise Island, here I come.
Travis gestured a flight.
Travis, do you know why our deeds affect us only in the material world?
Travis raised his eyebrows and shook his head. Rishi touched his forehead.
It's because our mind carries out the deeds. And therefore, only it can and must suffer the consequences. Our soul is independent of the deeds and its consequences. Once you experience the soul, the mind becomes irrelevant. Our mind is the bouncer. But once we are inside and meet our pop star, the bouncer doesn't matter.
Rishi, that makes sense. While I was at XOR, I was always worried about my poor performance reviews. But once I started my own company, I was free. Actually, a better example would be if I'd become a movie star, then my previous work and performance reviews would have zero relevance. I think my example is better than your Paradise Island example.
I'll give you that, Travis. Fair enough.
Rishi raised his index finger.
Those who achieve infinite happiness by connecting with the spiritual world become impervious to the material world. Spirituality redeems them. Their past deeds and the resulting rewards or punishments become immaterial to them. Fame and fortune don't affect them. They rise above sadness and happiness, pain and pleasure, insults and praise. They become free from the material world even though they interact with it. They may live and act in the world, but they do it selflessly. They become the true servants of people while transfixed in their blissful state.
That sounds so good.
Yes. Throughout history, there are stories about prophets who showed no animosity toward their tormentors because they had transcended the material world. They were in constant bliss no matter what the circumstance and how much bodily pain they were suffering. The material world has a hold on us until we experience the soul in its full glory.
Travis raised his eyebrows.
That's powerful.
People living ordinary and imperfect lives can achieve spirituality, Travis. Spirituality is our true redemption. Spirituality is our birthright. Spirituality is our destiny.
Travis smiled with satisfaction.
Spirituality is our destiny.
Yes, it is. The universe is constantly encouraging us, and that's why every human being has a spiritual beckoning. It is in our wiring. That's how the universe designed us. We can and must graduate from the material world to the spiritual world. That is our evolutionary path. This is a powerful, powerful message for you, me, and for all humans. Everyone must take this seriously and progress spiritually.
I like that very much.
If you like that, you will love what we discuss next. It's the question people have been asking for thousands of years.
End of chapter 9. Spirituality does not discriminate. Takeaways from this chapter. True peace and bliss are attainable not just by monks and ascetics. We all, living our daily lives, can achieve that ultimate happiness. You can achieve spiritual awakening in your home. Spirituality is the alloy that makes our life perfect. If the fog of your mind lifts, your soul will shine through automatically. It must. Spirituality is your birthright. Spirituality is your destiny. Spirituality does not discriminate. It cannot. All of us have equal access to spiritual ability, regardless of race, gender, sexual identity, deeds, intelligence, and status. Our spiritual ability is unaffected by our deeds and shortcomings. Our spiritual ability is unaffected by our beliefs, whether we are religious or atheist. Nothing can deny us our humanness, and nothing can deny us our spiritualness. Graduate from the material world to the spiritual world. It is your final evolutionary step.